Hi class, and welcome to lesson 11. We're going to be working on charts and graphs this week, but before we start talking about that, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. This past weekend had some things come up at my house that I had to get done. Trying to get done before too much rain and snow hit it. Some things outside in my yard that we weren't anticipating, and all of a sudden it became a big issue and I had to have it done. So with that, I was really bad at answering your guys' emails on Friday and Saturday. So I apologize in my delay in response. Hopefully I've gotten to all of them now and addressed your concerns and the questions that you had. Please forgive me for that. Even professors sometimes have late work, I guess I could say. Typically I shoot these videos on Friday and Saturday and have them posted for you, but again, that did not happen because of the project that I had to get done. And anyway, so I'm doing it now. I'll have it posted hopefully by this evening, and hopefully the week will go much smoother this week. Hopefully nothing too unanticipated. I did get my project pretty much done. It's still not complete, but it's to the point where it's at least safe now, so that's good. We won't have any issues. The thing was, I had some slopes and stuff that I had done, and it was kind of flooding my yard, and I was worried about it flooding my basement, so I had to get that taken care of quickly. Anyways, so we're good now. I just got to finish it off. But jumping into this week's lesson, lesson 11, charts and graphs. I'm pretty excited about this week. I think charts and graphs are an awesome tool that you can use. You can definitely use them in your personal finances. If you're in any sort of job that you're dealing with data, it's a great tool to know how to use Excel and be able to show a chart and a graph. If you pull up a spreadsheet and show a group of people a bunch of numbers, it's real hard to interpret that. But if you throw a graph on there, if you use those numbers and you make a graph out of it, all of a sudden the data comes to life. And that's why I like graphs. I actually teach it at where I work. One of the classes I kind of do, I'm part of like an internal class thing that we teach people different skills and stuff throughout the company, and one of the things that I teach a lot of is these graphs, because when you're doing reports and stuff, if you have a table with a bunch of numbers and stuff in it, it just doesn't show you the data, where a graph can really show you that. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson this week as you play around with charts and graphs. If you're having questions on how to make different charts, how to make different graphs, YouTube is a great resource for this. I know there's a lot of content that goes into making the videos on this in this class, and that's in the folders and everything. But if you ever get stuck and you're like, how do I do this? And there are so many how-to videos on Excel and graphs and anything you can think of out there on YouTube. So just do a quick search there and you'll be able to find it. That leads us into what this week's portfolio assignment is. This week's portfolio assignment is to make a graph showing the exponential growth of a savings account. You'll work on this also in the problem set. Problem 11 in practice C is very similar to what you will be submitting for your portfolio. The only difference is in problem 11 in part C, it gives you the numbers as far as what the beginning balance is, what payment you're making, and what the interest rate is. The difference is for your portfolio assignment, you'll be entering your own numbers. So for this, I would go out and do a little bit of research, see what some of the interest rates are on savings account, on CDs, on just different types of investing options. I think it's kind of fun to see, you know, if you were to put your money in a bank for 20 years in just a normal savings account, you really wouldn't, you would gain money a little bit, but typically your normal savings account in a bank is like 1% or less in growth, where if you do a CD, it might be 2.5% or maybe even a little bit more than that. So look around, see what different interest rates are in there as far as investing your money, and then it's really neat to see that chart, because if you did your calculations right, you'll see that in the beginning it's pretty slow, you're not going to see a whole lot, and then all of a sudden around, you know, year 10 it really starts to take a curve and go up, and that's what we call exponential growth. And that's because every year you're gaining interest on that, you're getting that money back. I mean, it's basically the opposite of that how credit cards make all their money, right? They're loaning you the money and then they're making a whole lot of money back, because in the end, when you pay it off, you give more money back to them than what the initial charge was. So it's kind of the reverse of that. You're giving the bank your money, and in return, they're giving you some interest on that. So it's really neat to see how that can affect your you know, your savings over the years, how interest plays an effect. So play around with those numbers and and see what you get. and that's what you'll be submitting for your portfolio assignment. The last thing I want to touch on is not due this week, but you should be finishing it up, and I think you probably already know this, and that is your financial book. I highly encourage that by the end of this week you have your financial book completely read, so that way next week you can just focus on writing the report, because that will be due next week. So if you're getting close to the end, just put a little extra emphasis on there. Make sure you get the rest of that done, so that way next week you can just focus on the book report. So next week I'll talk more on the book report, and with that I'll bid you farewell, and I hope you guys all have a great week. If anyone's wanting to retake the exam, please reach out to me. Be happy to reopen that for you, work through some of the problems if you're still struggling on some of the ones that you missed. So have a great week, and we'll see you next week.